Okay, guys, this has got to be a Speedy Boy episode. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ironic considering the movie we're talking about.
What do you mean? Speedy Boy?
That's not-
There's no Flash in the Avengers.
There is in the next one.
Yeah, basically.
Something like that, but we got to get going. So let's roll.
Good morning, afternoon, and or evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning back in and hanging out with us. As always, we are the Genesius guys. I'm Nick.
Filling in for Kyle, I'm Seth.
And I'm John.
And we are three Catholic dudes who love to talk about movies. This is the Genesius podcast.
Yes, it is. How are you doing?
Pretty good. This is a pretty good week, honestly. Yeah, rosters and schedule for summer softball is finally out.
Now, John, that's true, but John, how many years have you both been playing? Actually, that's a better question.
This is
at CSG.
Yes.
This is my fifth. This is my fifth year.
Fifth year?
So this would be my third year.
Third year. All right. I've only ever played one season. So, but I'm an avid fan. I enjoy.
Quick tangent. Is it just me or does the camera look a little funky?
It's fine.
John
Do you
looks
wanna-
like he's
do you
like
want- do you
way.
want me to
John,
check it?
John looks like he's like way off to the
Here,
side.
you two talk about softball. I'm
Well,
going to
Seth
check
also
the
needs to
camera
slide
right
back a little bit, otherwise I can't see Nick at all.
I mean,
But-
yeah.
We're just trying to
Oh,
make
I
this
see. You're
new
like
setup
at the edge of the
work.
table. Yeah, It's
But
so.
yeah, I'm excited for softball.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. Like I think I'm really excited for what this season is gonna be.
Yeah. Okay. Is this good?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Here, if you
because
just
I
like
was
slide a little bit this way, then I can see Nick.
I got you.
just from the managers meeting that I was part of on Sunday. It's my first time managing a co-ed team. I actually managed on one of the men's teams last year, so I'm coming in little experience, but not terribly. But from the other managers I saw in the meeting, like it looks like it's going to be totally different from what previous seasons have been, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've expanded this year. They have 3 more fields, don't they?
2 more fields.
2 more fields.
Yeah, so we have 20 teams this year, which is insane.
Yeah. But it's great though, because
Yeah,
then more people
yeah.
can be included.
Yeah, it's really like, I mean, the goal was 24. I think we'll get there eventually. But
Would that just be like a full 8 fields then?
yeah, that would take up all the fields in Pioneer and then all the fields in Vadnais Heights.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm hoping to turn up and see what's what every now and then. And
Yeah,
You use a little drone?
use my little drone. I may or may not have 2 now. You imagine me controlling both of them, just like Magneto, you know?
oh my gosh.
That would be amazing.
Man, Magneto is not in this movie.
He's
not.
not. But what movie are we talking about today?
Man, this is we did the first 5 movies of Phase 1.
Yeah.
And about a month later, we finally come to the culmination that is The Avengers.
The Avengers came out on May 4th, 2012, directed by Joss Whedon.
That, next Thursday, that will be exactly 11 years ago when this movie came out.
Good heavens. Yeah, 11 years. Written by Joss Whedon as well, directed by Joss Whedon. Budget of $225 million.
And is this the first movie we've talked about that's made over $1 billion? I think it might be.
Probably.
You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
you might
this
be
made
right.
about $1 billion. This made just over $1.5 billion.
Yep. There's that.
Wow.
That is a lot of freaking money.
Critics and audiences on Rotten Tomatoes agreed at a 91%.
Wow. They have the same score.
They have the same score.
All right. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what our scores are because I'm not entirely certain. Like,
I've got.
Where I'm
You
gonna
don't
sit.
think we're all just going to do 91?
I can tell you. I've got mine locked in already.
Okay.
I kind of know what I'm going to do
Yeah.
too. So,
Oh shoot! My notebook. I left it at home. That's what I forgot.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't settled on the score yet.
Well, let's dive in.
Seth just wants to hear our score,
You know,
so then
I
his is
just-
lower than ours.
Yes.
Well, we
Because
say
last
that-
time was the precedent.
Well,
where-
I was gonna. Well, you say that, but last week we completely flipped that over our heads.
Yeah.
Because for once I had the lowest score, and it wasn't
Yeah.
even that low.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. But we'll see. We'll see what the universe has planned. We'll see what Shield rates this this movie.
Well, I can
what does
tell you
Shield
what.
rate this movie?
Well, I can tell you what Rotten Tomatoes said about this movie. Thanks to a script that emphasizes its heroes' humanity and a wealth of superpowered set pieces, The Avengers lives up to its hype and raises the bar for Marvel at the movies. And I honestly agree with that.
I do agree. Yeah. When I think about modern blockbusters, I really think Avengers stands out far and above everything. Even like later on, even though if Infinity War and Endgame were their own kind of event, I feel like the first Avengers movie really stands out.
Well, the Avengers did something that that not really a lot of movies have dared to try.
yeah, it tried to put all
Which
of them
was
together.
make a bunch of standalone movies and somehow connect them all into a shared universe.
Yeah.
And successfully, might I add.
Successfully, yes.
Yeah. The one thing that's interesting is I have a note or two about how certain recastings took place. So we'll get there.
So we gotta see what the USCCB had to say about it.
John?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Seemingly,
John, this is a new tradition. John has to read the.
I don't have a
seemingly-
job anymore.
It's an A3. It's an A3, by the way, for adults.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Seemingly destined to haul in wads of cash at the box office, this ensemble adventure will not disappoint fans of the comic books on which it is based, but may prove problematic for parents of some excited youngsters anxious to ride the juggernaut.
And not the Marvel character Juggernaut either.
Apparently.
Continue.
Writer-director Josh Whedon's script juggles no fewer than 6 superheroes. Thor by Chris Hemsworth, Iron Man by Robert Downey Jr., Hulk by Mark Ruffalo, Captain America by Chris Evans, Hawkeye by Jeremy Renner, and Black Widow by Scarlett Johansson. Guided by their eye-patched, grizzled leader, Samuel L. Jackson,
That's a word.
this dream team confronts a mischievous demigod, Tom Hiddleston, who believes freedom is overrated.
Ooh.
Despite the relatively mild adult elements below, the film may possibly be suited for older adolescents. Intense but largely bloodless violence, a few mature references, including to suicide and drug use, and a handful of crass terms.
I want to pause. I think the biggest thing to talk about with this movie, and the USCCB briefly glossed over it, but freedom is overrated. That's like
I think that's a very simplified description of Loki's motivation.
right. Like I'm not saying like I'm saying like that's a good. I think that's a good discussion topic because this movie it does talk about like I mean Loki obviously like coming off the heels of what happens in the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to rule, but not because like it's out of insecurity more than anything, and he just wants to quote Sheev Palpatine, unlimited power.
I think he kind of wants to feel validated, right?
That's the main thing.
That's
So he is lacking at the end of Thor. He's really lacking a lot of validation. He has always felt second fiddle to Thor, and that's definitely some bad parenting on Odin's part, right?
That's one of many examples.
One of many
by the way.
examples. But he's really wanting to be validated, and he wants respect, right? A lot of these characters, they want respect. And so Loki wants respect. He wants to rule. He believes that he can earn that respect by ruling. And the only way to rule, at least to him, is through fear and intimidation. He doesn't understand, or perhaps he doesn't care about being a benevolent leader that is respected. He wants to be respected for his ferocity, for his power. And so he tries to project this sense of power through the film. And I'm not going to turn
And that old
into-
German guy said there are always men like him.
Yeah, there are always... I found this interesting because there's some good writing. There's some good subtext in this writing of this guy being like, we don't bow to men, we don't kneel to men like you. And Loki is like, he tries to throw back like there are no men like me. Obviously he's talking about the fact that he's Asgardian, or in this case, he's a frost giant essentially, but he's a demigod, right? In that respect. But this guy does understand what he's saying and simply says there are always men like you who need to feel like they are powerful and to project their power by casting others down. So his character is really interesting, and that's what makes him, I think, such a standout villain in the MCU, is that his motivations are a lot more muddled, and I actually like how the MCU sort of treats him moving forward as this very conflicted character.
I was also going to say that he's like one of maybe the only MCU villain that actually stuck around.
Yeah. Sans Thanos, but like even Thanos doesn't really play a major.
We're not there. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
You could say even with his show though that he even surpassed Thanos.
Thanos made a cameo appearance in this movie.
Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah,
the very end.
Very, very end, after the credits.
This is our first time we get an appearance of Thanos.
Yep, mid-credit scene. And he's actually not played by Josh Brolin. He's played by
I was going to point that out, actually. It's not Josh Brolin.
So all the different recasting.
Yeah, so they recasted him. But to be fair, they needed someone to play this role for a moment. And
he's a big CGI purple hamburglar. Like, it's not hard to recast and still make him look the same.
But, I mean, there was also another recast in this movie.
Yeah,
that's right.
There was Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. So negotiations broke down, right?
Yes.
Edward Norton.
Well, Edward Norton apparently was just a pain to work with.
Yeah, and obviously, like that's speculation to some degree.
Actually, like from what I understand, there's a lot of like, I've definitely read interviews and reports of like a lot of like filmmakers saying that he's really difficult to work with.
But
Wes Anderson isn't one of them
though, like,
because he's in like every Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah. True. But I think in general that like there are different depictions of the character, but I think I'd prefer the Mark Ruffalo one.
Oh yeah, I agree.
The Mark Ruffalo one shows more vulnerability. The Edward Norton guy stood out to me as like more of just a loner kind of dude, who is socially isolated. And with Mark Ruffalo, you really get the vibe that this is like a guy that is damaged and in some ways barely holding it together. And so he's the best part about this movie is that all the main cast really do get their moments to shine. Where it's whether it's Scarlett Johansson manipulating Loki even more than Loki could.
That's a great scene.
That is a fantastic scene. Whether you have Tony realizing that he's got to be the one to fly the nuke out, right? Whether you have, Bruce Banner, who is now this very like vulnerable. He's still a scientist, right? And I actually like the vibe that Mark Ruffalo gives off of this very tired kind of scientist guy. But he's much more emotionally vulnerable. And I like this foreshadowing they have of his relationship with Black Widow. Bruce Banner and Black Widow. I don't know if you can agree or disagree on whether they handled it well going forward, but at least they do a good job setting that up.
Okay, yeah. Here it's fine. Going forward, it's questionable at best.
Yeah.
I do think like some of the stuff is a little far-fetched like in this story, but like I think overall I still come back to rewatch this one like all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's just like so watchable.
Yeah.
Like,
it is it's a very rewatchable movie for sure.
It's very rewatchable and it's very epic in tone.
Yes.
It's very epic.
Well, I was saying that because me and Seth watched this together, and it's just like you can tell in even just like the CG that it's just like there was a lot more effort towards this one, it seems like, than some of the previous.
It was, it still was, I don't know. Some of the CG felt weird. Like it is definitely like you can tell like the budget went more toward this movie than the other ones before.
Yeah.
But like It's still, and maybe it's just because like it's just been over 10 years at this point, but like it still some of it looked a little goofy.
Well, and like some of the concepts are a little crazy with like I don't know,
aliens coming out of a space portal.
Well,
you mean the battle droids?
Basically, because once you disconnect them, they're just like
droids.
Roger. Oh, I need that clip on the soundboard pronto.
There's a lot of things you need to put on the soundboard.
I got 2 clips from Avengers. I managed to get 2.
But I would say like in general, this was such an undertaking of a movie.
Oh yeah,
that like it was. I know there's some like movies that had done it in the past of like trying to bring different franchises together, but I don't think any have been nearly this successful.
I was going to say this is probably the most successful attempt at a feature length crossover like event. It's not even like a film. This is like an event.
It's an event. Yeah. This movie to me stands out to me as being like a blockbuster moment where everyone is seeing this movie 2-3 times in the theater because it's just such a crazy thing to witness.
I feel like I'm not going to put them on the same level, like rating wise, but like it feels like, I don't know if your parents like ever went to like Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
like
it's
something
a
that
Star
was
Wars
like
moment.
that was something that like is very memorable to them. Of that,
I
they
actually
went to.
have seen Empire Strikes Back in the theater.
Oh,
Well, didn't you just see it with like the orchestra?
I saw Force Awakens with the orchestra. Now that was cool.
But what I mean is like my dad, for instance, can like remember exactly the time that he saw the first like Empire Strikes Back or saw it for the first time, and it's just like it feels like that moment for like our generation of like when you saw Avengers.
Yeah. To answer your earlier question though, like yes, I did. I have also watched it with the orchestra about 3 years ago or so. So I did do that, but like when COVID was like the summer after COVID started, like when movie theaters are opening up again, they're playing old movies, and it was the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So I actually went to go watch it in the theater, and I got to tell you, that movie absolutely still holds up for over 40 years later.
Oh yeah, 1000%. You know,
We'll get to that one eventually though, but like I just
yeah, to me at least, like Avengers stands out in my memory, and really like the Star Wars moment, if you will, is really the only comparison I have. This was a pivotal thing to grow up when it happened, and I don't think we're really ever gonna recapture that kind of thing again.
Well, because so many people are trying to do it now.
Yeah,
like with combining different things. That's like,
DCU has risen and fallen and risen and fallen, and is
I think
gonna try. And
I don't know.
I think
they're gonna rise up. I think when DC attempts to rise up, I think it's gonna be successful.
Henry Cavill is my Superman, and if they try to do something different, who else are they gonna recast as Superman?
We'll find out in the next few years.
Tell me, make a guess. From the available roster,
Chris Evans.
That'd be hilarious, actually.
Not a great plan.
Oh, that was a good. That's a good one. Put in there.
That's the meme. There's that one, and there's also
we have a Hulk.
And there was one other that just did not make the soundboard.
Puny God?
I'm really no, it wasn't Puny God. It was him at the end saying, "Please tell me nobody kissed me."
Oh, Seth, you should have added that anyway. That would have been perfect for like a Valentine's Day
I literally
episode.
ran out of time. I was adding the sound bites before we got
Oh,
here.
gotcha. I see.
I would say like, okay, some of the stuff, like what I was going at is like, yeah, it's a little bit weird that they have like all these heroes like pinned against each other at like certain points, but it's like, but I mean, like, come on, you want to see like Thor go against like
this
Captain
is
America.
Like, I mean, I will give it this for sure. Like, no, like not even Endgame or Infinity War, I think, pulled this off. This is like the most comic book feeling movie you could ask for.
It has
like
a rock solid
Endgame and Infinity War are like they very much feel like more cinematic, but this feels like you're literally watching a comic book.
Because especially like when they're fighting each other, you see kind of each of their different abilities. But then like towards the end of the movie, they all come together and work together. That whole sequence is just so good.
I love
just
that.
pans from like one hero to the next.
Where it's like it's one. I was gonna bring that up actually. That one consistent pan that highlights each of the heroes, and it's like it's one singular shot. And I just remember sitting there like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's a brilliant shot right there. Like,
I think that like part just like there is no way you can like not like not be happy about that.
Yeah, it is very
like,
good.
They definitely build up to it.
That whole third act is pretty gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I really appreciate about all of these action sequences in this movie, first of all, like they each have character moments for all of the participants.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single one of them has it. You know,
like when Hulk bats Loki around like a rag doll.
Yeah. So Hulk, Hulk is smashing
straight every time.
He's beating the crap out of Loki. You have Iron Man doing his thing and having his little moments with the technology and also kind of gelling with Cap. Cap is sort of all over the place helping people out. He's helping Scarlet Widow get to the tower.
Scarlet Widow?
Black Widow. It happens.
There's so many heroes now.
Can that be a soundbite?
Scarlet Widow.
Scarlet Widow.
We could record it, yeah. No, he's helping Black Widow get to the top of Stark Tower to shut down the portal. Jeremy Renner is like literally spotting for everyone. He's just kicking butt. And am I missing? Banner is, we've already done Banner.
He's smashing.
Yeah,
well, Captain America, Thor.
Thor is having all of his moments too. They all interplay and they have their own moments. And that's not just the final set piece, that's also the set piece in the middle of the movie. And that brings up the point of like, this movie has such a rock solid construction. There are 3 acts and each act is punctuated by a climactic action scene, right?
Yeah.
Act 1, you're getting all of your, first of all, you're introducing the problem. Right.
You're bringing Loki Act 1 is punctuated by the whole like Cap and Thor and Iron Man
and Germany. Yeah.
In Germany.
So, yeah.
And
So
then
up to the capture. The second act is them interplaying.
When Banner hulks out for the first time.
Yeah. On the
so that,
on the helicarrier.
That whole action sequence where they're fighting on the helicarrier is the punctuation to Act 2, and then Act 3 obviously culminates in this big battle. And so
I just always love the hero shot where it's like where and by the way, Alan Silvestri needs to be shouted out again.
Yes.
Because his score is perfect.
Yeah.
Like cinematic perfection. And when like the theme is blaring and it's panning around all the heroes, it's so good. And it's so good they even included it in Avengers Endgame later on.
yeah, that's true.
But I do think like one thing to be said as well is that I think each of the main characters has like their own conflict that they deal with in the movie too.
Yeah.
There's like it affects their character moving forward. That's the movie too, especially Tony Stark, because I mean he's the one who started it and he's kind of the one that. If there was a main character, I feel like it was.
Oh yeah, well I think with every ensemble movie featuring Iron Man, except maybe Captain America: Civil War, or like if Robert Downey Jr. is a main character in the movie, he is the main character in the movie.
The only exception I would say is Spider-Man.
I was gonna also but he wasn't a major player in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't mention it, because
that's true.
Because in Civil War he was a major player, but he wasn't the main character. Whereas like in every Avengers movie, like Iron Man is the main character.
What I want to talk about for just a moment is how well Avengers not only is covering everything that it's covered already, and it's bringing all these characters together and it's giving them each their moments, which Joss Whedon, love him or hate him, did an amazing job with. But it also brilliantly and subtly is kind of setting up a lot of what's going on later. It's setting up the Bruce Banner, Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff relationship. It's setting.
That's an example of one of the things it's setting up. Yeah.
It's one of the things it's setting up.
Brilliant setup. That ultimately is somewhat poorly executed.
Yes.
They also like show the relationship between Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Hawkeye and Black Widow,
which is done really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Man, you can kind of see that Tony's, you can see where his PTSD starts, right?
His first name is Agent.
His first name is Agent. Yeah. But you can also see, like, in this movie, he has a chronic issue of he has one suit and it keeps getting beat the crap up and he has to keep fixing it. And so that leads
Or
into the
he's just got another one.
well,
Just waiting.
But
in that case, he does.
I think it was done brilliantly with his character, though.
Yeah. Also,
just like how quick everything happened and how it feels like he just makes the decision to like sacrifice himself.
yeah. Also, can we talk about the fact that every time he unveils a new suit, Jarvis is always like, but it's not finished.
Yeah. Because especially in this one, like he had to stall while the suit was being finished, right?
Yeah.
With Loki.
That's also a brilliant scene, by the way.
Yeah, that really, and that's like everyone even gets a moment to like interact with Loki. Like now, the Hulk doesn't. Well, the Hulk does too.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Scarlett Johansson does. Jeremy Renner, obviously, his whole thing is that he's got this contentious
Yeah.
relationship with Loki because Loki was in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fury gets a shot. Coulson gets a shot at him.
Oh, rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Rest in peace,
Coulson.
Agent Coulson.
Agent Coulson. His first name is Agent.
And there's one other person you've pissed off. His name was Phil.
His name is Phil. Yeah, Iron Man gets the moment. Cap even gets a moment with. Does Cap get a moment with Loki?
Yeah, at the
He
beginning.
totally does.
In Germany.
In the second fight. Yeah, in the second act.
Yeah.
Sorry, first act.
And
When-
the whole line.
Yeah. Yep.
Where there's only one God and he doesn't dress like you.
Yeah, there's that too.
No. He doesn't say it then. That's before he jumps out of the Quinjet after Thor gets him. No, this is when
They're in Germany.
they're in
protects
Germany
the-
with
he
a bunch
protects the
of
guy
people.
That stood up, right?
And then Iron Man hijacks the PA system and plays Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC.
Classic.
So good.
You know what the sad part is that
Miss me?
in Iron Man 3, it's like they didn't have AC/DC.
they
True. Wow, you're right.
They, like,
Because that's
took AC/DC.
basically iconic for at least for the first couple movies.
It was
of,
probably
like,
very
you know when it's
expensive.
AC/DC that it's. Iron
oh
Man.
yeah.
Yeah, the budget went to the effects.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, like this also, what this movie is really, I think, setting up rather subtly and brilliantly as well is the SHIELD reveal. Because them deciding to nuke New York is a very Hydra thing to do, right? They would want to bomb New York.
Because then it would kill all the superheroes too.
It would kill all the
And-
superheroes.
And I literally just thought of this, but like in Captain America: First Avenger, they tried to nuke New York.
Yes.
So that in a weird way, that kind of
It tracks.
almost came full circle.
But it's not like they have a point though of just that they're trying to stop whatever this is like happening. That it's like they're able to veil it. But like, yeah, when you look back at it, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's a very ends justify the means kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is very much what Hydra tries to mask a lot of their stuff of in the modern age. And so I like that it's setting up that. But just like the way that all of the characters get a chance to interact with each other and these interactions push their development forward, and it just feels so natural. And you could not do that today. It feels like writers today are incapable of doing that.
Well,
And
they're
when-
trying. Well, the Avengers was such a big thing that like everyone is trying to replicate it, and it's like I mean, I think even I think once the current multiverse saga starts culminating, I'm guessing they're not going to be able to replicate it quite like this. They could do it better if it's done right, but it's doubtful.
They need a solid foundation for all of the new characters that they're bringing in, and I just haven't seen that.
There's just I think an issue is there's just too many new characters.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is like they're able to do this one self-contained a bit because there's like they only have what 6, 7?
Iron Man, Cap,
6.
6.
something like that.
7 with
group.
Coulson.
A small group.
Guardian
Coulson is an
even-
Avenger. Nick Fury says he's an Avenger.
But
I think what's fascinating, and like we can get more into it once we get there, but like I mean, it took 6 movies for the Avengers to do this, and Guardians of the Galaxy effectively did the same thing in one movie.
Well, but each of the characters isn't as developed as each of these characters. I would
Right.
say.
Yeah. And they also just weren't like they were like G-list characters.
Yeah.
I would say
unannounced.
though, like in reference to you were saying that it sounded very natural. Like I do know there's like a certain quippiness to Josh Whedon's writing.
Yeah.
But if you'd ever watched something like Firefly, like it's a similar concept where there's a lot of different characters
I've been told it's
together.
really good.
It
I
feels
need
natural,
to watch it.
and I think that's why people like the writing so much. Like it's very similar, but like obviously sci-fi versus comic book.
I think the important
different.
thing to note about the quippiness is that it's very well balanced with actual meaningful character writing. And it's not undercutting serious moments either.
That's true. The MCU isn't doing a great job of that these days. Except like, I mean, obviously at the time of recording, Guardians 3 isn't out yet. That's next week already, which is
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Holy crap.
I still need to get
I did
still
not
need to
think
get
about
my
that.
still need to get my tickets, but like but yeah, it's crazy that it's like I mean Guardians 3 from like early reactions I've seen, it's like they're overwhelmingly positive.
That's good.
Good.
Which yeah, honestly, like I think the MCU needs a good, like a seriously solid good movie. Cause man, again, as much as I love Quantumania, like it has problems.
I'm concerned. I saw a clip and we were actually just talking about how quippiness is like not cutting through the serious character moments in the Avengers. But there's a clip that I saw of the new Guardians movie, and it's Gamora, and it's obviously not the Gamora that Peter Quill fell in love with because she's dead. But this is the other alternate timeline Gamora. And he's having this serious heart-to-heart moment of, I really miss you. And he's trying to connect with her, and she's like, I don't think there's anything there. And then suddenly it just cuts out to the rest of the group, and what was assumed to be a private conversation was really being like heard by the rest of the group. And they just start crapping on Quill.
Well that clip could have been edited just for a sneak peek. Like it could look different in the actual movie.
I do also
hope
think
so.
like one of the things is that even from the very first Guardians, though, they're not really that serious. It's definitely,
But that's James Gunn. That's like James Gunn's style. Like it's very like
it's almost a comedy.
He takes really like and it's apparently like I haven't seen the new Suicide Squad movie, which I know you have, John. And like I know one thing I know about James Gunn is that he's very good about taking just the most bizarre characters and giving them all the heart.
Yeah.
And Guardians is excellent evidence that backs this up.
Yeah, and I will say that Gunn does a better job than most of actually giving space to those real pivotal
What
character
if
moments.
he made the first Avengers movie? What do you think of James Gunn
It's
Avengers
not worth.
movie?
I don't think.
Well,
It's,
the
I don't
thing
think it's
is,
worth thinking.
what you
about.
were mentioning with DC is that James Gunn is kind of taking over DC,
Which I think is a really good thing.
and we'll see how he does with Avengers, Justice League, basically.
The Blue Beetle trailer, that movie actually looks fantastic.
I saw it and I was like, oh, that's fun.
I mean, they got to do something.
It's so different from
Anyway.
it's not what I expected, and I was laughing my butt off.
How does it innovate? That's what I want.
We'll find out.
How does it innovate? Does it innovate? If it doesn't,
Anyway,
it's worth it.
this movie was definitely, Avengers was innovative at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just the fact that we've tangented into like other franchises, I think really shows the impact the Avengers had on like as a culture, honestly.
Everyone's tried to do it since, even the Avengers, and they've had mixed results.
Yeah.
And that's what's really interesting. about
Unless it's Endgame and Infinity War,
it. Yeah.
which was
But if we're talking Age of Ultron, right?
yeah.
And that's the interesting part. And here's the
Yeah.
thing. Age of Ultron, you know what it was? It was fine.
But it should have been, like, people were expecting this level.
Yeah,
of,
people
like,
were
awesome.
expecting an Avengers level threat.
It should have been better.
But I think the difference is that this movie was setting things up, but it wasn't the main focus. It's almost like the sequel tends to be like all we're focusing on is setting everything else up.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And it's such a shame too, because at least I know we're not reviewing Avengers: Age of Ultron,
Not yet,
but at least
toward the end of this year we will be.
yeah.
for
But
sure.
like James Spader voicing Ultron is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's James Spader. He just has this dryness to his voice that is like he's. And I don't know if you guys have seen his character Raymond Reddington in the Blacklist.
No, but I've seen Robert California in The Office.
Yeah, it's actually not that different of a vibe. But he's the kind of guy who could like tell you this really interesting story over a drink and then shoot you, and like it would mean nothing to him. You know, like it. He has a way of playing characters.
That is very Ultron-esque.
He has gravitas, right? And Ultron had that.
There
sort of
there
sense.
are rumors flying around that James Spader is going to return as Ultron
I
in the
hope
future.
so.
So when I heard that, I'm just like, that better happen, because I don't think we got enough of Ultron, really at all. And the What If Ultron set up a pretty wacky possibility that I want to see in live action.
It's very interesting. I will say the Ultron's last moment in Age of Ultron is really, really good, where he's talking
really
with
good.
Vision and they're having this conversation about Vision's limits and what he was made to
Well,
be.
I was born yesterday.
He's like, I was literally born yesterday, which is such a good, that's a perfect one-liner. And it's like a perfect reflection of Stark, whereas Ultron's sort of one-liners are more malicious in a way.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress back to the actual Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Funniest moments for you guys in this movie.
That's hard.
I really liked the Puny God when I saw it the first time.
I was about to, like, I remember just rewatching it. I was gonna say it is when Hulk is about to pummel Loki and Loki's like, "Stop! I am a god, you dull creature!" And he's about to keep going, and then Hulk just picks him by the legs and throws him around like a rag doll. And then as he's walking away going, "Puny God," you just hear him go like,
Yeah. I've got two. And one of them's going to require the censor button, so I got to have that at the ready. Crap, I completely lost them. No, so the one of them is Fury being like, "I respect the council has made a decision, but given that it is a stupid decision, I've elected to ignore it."
You know, now that you say that also got a chuckle out of me. Like that, it's one of those things where it's like nobody quotes this, but it is like, it is one of the funniest lines in the movie.
Well,
It is so Samuel L. Jackson.
It's great. The other one that I really like is the scene between
Why don't you make that a sound? That should be a soundbite.
Tony Stark. It should. Tony Stark and Loki. And Loki's like, why are they going to fight me when they're so busy fighting you? And he tries to glow stick of destiny him. And what I love,
This usually works.
yeah, he's like, this usually works. And I love that Tony has these really quick little lines. He's like, performance issues or something.
Yeah.
But then he goes like 1 out of 5. And it just immediately gets like picked up by the throat. It's just, there's this subtlety with which that whole moment is delivered that is just really, really good.
This movie has some insanely funny moments.
There's so much of it, and there's such a great expression of it that you can blink or look away or go to the bathroom for a minute, and you can miss something that you don't get until you come back and you watch it, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Well, the thing is like, I think this is almost like Robert Downey Jr. in general, is that like he's so quick with some of those, like, because those are good examples, but I mean, like, throughout the movie he does that.
Yeah.
And it's like you could like you miss a little something, and it's almost like throwing the characters themselves off too.
Yeah, it's just everything about the movie's humor is on point. I love that Coulson gets the last word.
Well, and then there's like
So that's what it does.
That's what it does.
But I think that was a good catalyst for like the movie coming together. Like, it makes sense that that's like the turning point.
You know what?
Like all of them are separated, and then they have to learn to come back together and work as a
I
team.
think, I mean, just the whole thing where it's like everyone's using, and we kind of alluded to this earlier, but everyone using their different skill set ultimately defeated the Chitauri, even though what actually defeated the Chitauri was Iron Man flying a nuke through a space portal and blowing up a spaceship, like Anakin Skywalker in Phantom Menace style.
Yeah. Now this is pod racing. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Well, I mean, he
The
did.
trick that
he
he
did have
uses
to spin a
forever.
couple times when he was flying fancy to grab the missile.
Well,
He did. He did spin.
He did have to do some spinning.
But
Now this is nuke racing.
There is a little biblical reference in this movie too. Ever hear the tale of Jonah and the whale? And then he just flies. He flies into the big Chitauri. I think it's like a Leviathan craft or something. What it's called, but like he says that, and then Jarvis just goes.
It's not.
I wouldn't consider him a role model.
Yeah. Or Jarvis saying,
Not a great plan.
yeah.
Pretty much.
But it worked. It worked very well.
I like that Jarvis has some of Tony's like sense of humor,
Which gets
And Paul Bettany
which gets
does
translated
great on
into
it.
Ultron.
Yeah.
but I mean there's even like other humor. Like I think one of the moments too with the Hulk and Thor where like he just like punches him.
Yeah, just punches him
Like,
for no reason.
So good.
Yeah, that one's brilliant.
But it is interesting because like for instance that whole point though, that whole part of the battle, you see like Thor is destroying him with lightning. Hulk can just smash the crap out of the Leviathan, but like Tony has to use like his smarts to overcome. Like he doesn't have just the raw strength of the other two.
Yeah. And you know what I'm going to go back to the dialogue again, but even the humor is not wasted in this movie. It's good interaction between the characters that builds a rapport. And so that's where you start to see the whole thing gel together. I mean, this whole movie is really about like how do we get 6 basically unrelated I believe 6. I can't remember.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's 6.
6.
6 unrelated superheroes in the same room and like have them all work together and actually develop a rapport. That's really hard to do in one movie.
And like even using each to like their own ability. I think I just feel like sometimes like Captain America is a little bit like it doesn't seem as important in this movie, but like he's the one who's actually like leading the charge.
Yeah.
Because like he has war experience. And it's just something that like he's able to delegate each of the characters to doing different things.
Yeah, well, and that's actually what I really like about the dynamic, and maybe this is just like part of the comic book aspect of it, but I like that Tony, who's kind of been the main character of the MCU up to this point, is willing to take sort of second fiddle and let Cap actually do the strategizing. Which I think plays real, and it's a thing that again is really subtly done. He doesn't make a big show about it because they clash. They clash throughout a lot of the movie, and you
I was
can
gonna
tell
say they were like at each other's throats in the helicarrier.
they're at each other. They're literally like, let's go box a few rounds, right? And
What are you with that? What are you with that? The suit, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
and,
Well, and
and
then he
Black
says,
Widow's just
like-
like,
And she's just like, yeah.
and like his comeback or like his attack on Cap is just like, oh, everything special about you came from a bottle. And it's just like,
I was like,
no.
that's cuts.
and you know that line hits because we've seen the actual Captain America movie, and the whole point of Erskine choosing Rogers
was his character.
is that the thing
Yeah.
that's special about him was him and not the bottle.
Yeah.
So it's really like, they don't waste lines in here. The economy of the script is so good. It's so like that alone, the balancing act is a masterclass in how do you juggle so many characters. So I don't know.
And I think just a point is that it's like I think the Marvel was kind of hands off with this one. Like they let Joss lead it.
Yeah. Well, he nailed it.
Yeah.
he nailed it, and we're left with something that is just like incredible. I mean, this, if you want to think about the MCU in terms of like building a house, phase 1 really feels like the concrete foundation where you throw all of these backstories into the mix, and Avengers is the binder, right? And the result is that you get this really, really solid foundation that you can literally build an entire cinematic universe on.
Yeah.
Literally.
They do it, and it works. And you obviously you have movies here and there that are like the Dark Worlds and the Ant-Man and the Wasps of the MCU, but even
Captain
those
Marvels.
Yeah, even those are largely passable.
Yeah.
It works together.
It's like ugly wallpaper that went into your house after you have the good foundation and the walls built.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
and it's
I know,
okay.
just now I crapped on Captain Marvel, but I gotta say the Marvels actually looks like it's gonna be good. Did you guys watch that trailer?
I've seen it. Yeah.
I'm like, this looks great.
Well, I've got to make some way to make Captain Marvel likable.
I mean, that's not an easy feat to do. But like, they also have Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan, both characters which I found to be very likable.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I know Secret Invasion's not far off either, and
I'm really looking forward to that.
Secret
one,
Invasion looks excellent.
I'm going to tune into that because that looks fantastic.
Man, that's what, like June 21st or something?
Yeah,
it's like a month and a half away almost, which is
not far.
Insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
man, we're actually getting new Marvel content again. It feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a moment, and they really needed a moment. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie is just when I look every time I rewatch it, I feel the hype. It's really done quite well in terms of how do you bring together. It's like not even every movie from Phase 1 is that great.
It's true.
Right? They're all like okay movies. And I especially appreciate the kind of darker, more grounded tone of the first Iron Man and the Hulk film. In terms of like the recasting of Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo, I think it was a great move.
It was very good.
I think
Mark Ruffalo was originally considered anyway, so
yeah,
there's like, oh well, we got him.
I kind of wish that we had the Mark Ruffalo in the first Hulk movie just to see what that was. And I tried looking to see if someone had done like an AI deep fake thing, but I haven't.
If no one's done it yet, someone's going to eventually.
Someone has to have. I'm not entirely sure. I did a Google and there was like some clips. I think someone did a trailer maybe. But I have to look. It's been a couple of weeks, and honestly, AI has come a long way in just a couple of weeks. So,
I mean, have you seen The Mandalorian season 2 finale?
Yeah. Well, even then they had that actually looks ancient.
It looks excellent by television standards.
That's fair.
You can't.
That's fair.
And then like
it looks like high-end PS4 cutscene.
And Seth, as much as I know you love the Book of Boba Fett. The Luke Skywalker actually looks even better.
Yeah, I didn't mind Luke Skywalker. Here's the thing. You started me.
Now we're going on.
I got him on a tangent.
No.
We should probably wrap up.
We will, but I'll simply say that the parts of Book of Boba Fett that were not Boba Fett, I liked.
Yes.
So, like the second half. So, like the second half of the season.
Yes, precise. Except for the very last part where they're back to the. Whatever
Back to Boba Fett.
Stupid town is.
I still loved when Mando got the N1.
It was great.
I like that. I'm just like that. They made that ship that ship was already cool, but they made it even cooler.
My only issue is the episode where they're building that N1 is just filled with so much useless techno babble that I could tell the writers had to be on some kind of drug
and was immediately made up for it when he did the test flight, and it was awesome.
I love how they immediately try to pull him over for speeding, and he's just like,
he just presses the button and like just flies like, did he go into hyperspace? No, that's
a sublight.
That's a sublight.
It's so good.
Oh,
So, but yeah, anyway, Avengers.
Man.
Get back to Avengers.
And we're getting a Star Wars Avengers in the next few years.
Not talking about that. Not talking about
No,
it.
everybody's trying to do
It's
it.
going to be great.
Everyone's trying to do Avengers now,
I think
but-
that's going to be great.
But anyway, we got
Everyone's doing Avengers, but this is the movie that really did the Avengers.
So what would you score it, Seth?
I would score it. Oh, I gotta say like a 92.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would lead into it with this. I know it's not like the best written movie, and it doesn't make you like think a lot and like have like really deep meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, like it's very memorable, and I like remember exactly when I went and saw it with my dad for the first time, and it's just
Can you
it's
correct
so
my score to 94?
nostalgic. I'm actually, I know it's biased, but I'm gonna go with a 96.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like this movie.
Very good.
So I did not have the in-theater Avengers experience like you guys did. Because I just wasn't into Marvel at the time. But I remember I really wanted to see it, and all my friends said it was really good. And I knew it was good by the time I eventually did end up watching it when I was like my second half of my sophomore year in college is when I finally watched it. So it doesn't have the same meaning for me necessarily as it does for you guys. But that said, I still really enjoy it. And I'm actually going to bump it up from what I was originally going to score it.
Oh.
Because I was going to give it an
Like a Seth.
I was going to give it an 89 originally.
Wow. What is going on?
But after this conversation, you guys did convince me to bump it up a few points higher. So I think I'm going to have to agree with Seth on a 94.
Yeah. So to be fair to you, I was actually thinking like mid 80s going in from like a technicality standpoint, but just talking about it.
But you know
it is
what?
so-
I'm going to pull a Seth even farther and say a 94.5.
Oh, that feels special. That feels so special.
I only did what you would have done.
Thank you. Thank you. That feels fantastic.
So with that in mind, I better average these out.
That brings us to like a 95 and a third, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
this is one of our higher rated movies.
Yeah, let's check it out. What have we got? Equal.
Shoot, I did it wrong.
Yeah, come on, get the calculator going.
I'm getting going.
That was great.
Pretend that didn't happen.
It's on recording.
94.83 repeating, which bumps it up to a 95.
Very good.
I think that sounds about right.
Awesome. Well, I need to pull up my script so that we can close out this episode. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Genesius podcast. If you enjoyed our content, you want to see or hear more from us, please subscribe to our podcast on whatever I've already messed it up.
Keep talking,
Podcasting platform.
Use your words.
Whatever podcast platform you use, I'm sure we're there. Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, more. We're also on YouTube. Handles at Genesius Podcast, where you can see the shenanigans we get up to, as well as some pretty cool Lego sets. Just not today because we're somewhere else. Yeah.
And if you would like us to talk about a movie you enjoy, or perhaps a movie related topic that you'd like us to discuss here on the podcast, or if you want to provide feedback to make the show better, or if you just need us to pray for you in any way, and let us know if you want us to pray for you here on the show, just send us an email at genesiuspodcast@gmail.com. That's GENESIUS podcast@gmail.com. Additionally, if you want to make an appearance on our show as a guest, make sure, if you know one of us three personally, that's step one.
That's great.
Step two, listen to an episode. And if you're hearing this, it means you probably already have. So you were 1 for 2. 2 for 2 if you know us, if you just already know one of us. And so reach out to one of us three or send us an email at genesiuspodcast@gmail.com.
Finally, please spread the word about the Genesius podcast, whether it be on social media or word of mouth. If you're listening, turn to whoever you are in proximity to.
Hey, Nick, have you heard about the Genesius podcast?
You know, I have. I heard it's great.
Yeah. Cool.
Or shoot a text to all your friends, family, and coworkers about our podcast, whether it be at this very moment, at a family dinner, at a work meeting, or on date night.
No.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please tell them about us, and please pray for us as we continue to create content and give our
I
gifts.
promise I'll hold back for the live show.
Thank
to
you.
use our gifts to give glory to God.
Prayer intentions for today, gentlemen.
One for Catholic softball, just with the whole aspect of just with the whole teamwork thing, aspects of like just teamwork, working as a team, bringing in individual gifts to like toward victory. We all know Apostles Assemble is going to be the reigning champion. one of my teammates, graphic designer, and he just sent me a logo they did for our team. I haven't seen it yet. But I will pull it up and I'll show you guys once we're done recording here. Yeah, just for that, but also for, I mean, you'll hear this a week from now, but for our live show that we will be doing in just a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
I would say prayer intentions would be to learn to work together with others despite differences, and to seek out each other's gifts that God has given them.
Yeah, I agree. All right. I can lead us in prayer if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Father,
Son, Holy Spirit.
Come, Holy Spirit, teach us how to pray. We lift up in our hearts today, we lift up a Catholic softball group as they begin their summer season, as they wind up for their summer season, for all of the players, for all of the leadership of the league, that everything runs smoothly, and that everyone has fun and grows together in fellowship. We also offer up our own enterprise here, the Genesius podcast, as we continue on and we move on to bigger, greater things as well. And we also pray for, what was the last one? What's the last intention?
Just working as a team.
We pray for interpersonal skills, for those who are on teams, for those who need to learn to work on teams, that teams everywhere may grow together in fellowship and in bond, and grow to love each other in as Christ loved us, and work for a greater good. So with all these things, we entrust these intentions to the Blessed Mother as we pray. Hail Mary,
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Saint Genesius,
Pray for us. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Seth, thank you for leading us in prayer.
Absolutely.
John and Seth, thank you, as always, for joining me on this culmination episode. Actually, this isn't even the culmination episode for phase 1. That's coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And listeners, thank you for tuning in with us. We will be back
Next Friday
at
noon.
At noon,
As
yes.
usual.
But if you came at the live show, then you've already heard the episode and you'll get to hear it again next week. Where we will be discussing the Truman Show. But until then, we are the Genesius guys. I'm Nick.
Filling in for Kyle, I am Seth.
I'm John.
And this is the Genesius podcast. God bless everyone.
We have a hope.